I will remember you with me. Don't let your life pass you by, and weep not for the memories. Don't let your life pass you by, and weep not for the memories. 'Cause I will remember you. Will you remember me? Don't let your life pass you by, and weep not for the memories. Don't let your life pass you by, and weep not for the memories. Don't let your life pass you by, and weep not for the memories.
Miami's got the Dolphins, the greatest football team. We take the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. Hey, when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl. 'Cause we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one.
Welcome to Fins TV. I'm your host, Sammy, aka Fins Pozo. Next, a host where it's my co-host, Steve. Long time no see. Welcome to Fins TV.
Sammy, it's already been a month. Happy March. Happy beginning of free agency officially. It's
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year to the NFL. I tell you, man, it's been it seems like it's been a lot longer than it really has. The past month, the days have flown by, but it seems like it's been a long time since we've done one of these, and it's an emotional roller coaster. You know, it's so weird. Free agency, the way that it kind of messes with the NFL fans' minds, and I was trying to think of the best way to describe it. It's like my brain wants to believe it's like Christmas time when I was a kid, and it's so exciting and everything, and then you'd open up all those presents, and it was that free agency of 2013 when we went absolutely hog wild as the Dolphins and signed all the free agents. And actually, 11 years ago, seems like not that long ago, but that was back before any real news broke in terms of what was going to happen with these free agents. And now I'm like the adult, and I'm just like, oh, we just got to get through free agency. Just got to get through these things, take the bumps, take the bruises. It's been an emotional roller coaster of a week. I'm still down in the low side of it. I'm starting to come back up. I'll admit it was a tough start to it earlier this week.
There were certain members of the media and radio and press saying that the Black Monday for the Dolphins, Dolphins Armageddon. That's why it's called the Fins TV Armageddon Spectacular. It's like our friend Matt Armstrong used to say, the sky is not falling, but we're going to talk about that. So we're going to go right through it. Go welcome the Fins TV crew of Freshly Squeezed, Matt Armstrong, and the controversial Eddie Chaput.
Gentlemen, how we
Good
doing?
evening, guys.
You guys,
Long time no see, guys. How was that soccer game last night, man? Did you go to the game? The Inter Miami won the game.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to see Marino, Jordyn, and now Messi. What an incredible experience!
Absolutely, I was rooting for you. I was hoping that hopefully they don't bench that guy. I'm a Messi fan, but that's what I'm afraid of. That you take that trip, you have to go there to see them, and he doesn't play. That would be heartbreaking. But I'm very happy for you and our friend, the controversial Eddie Chaput. Eddie, it's been a whirlwind of emotions this week, from the Black Monday on Monday to things picking up. So, how are you feeling about the way this week has gone so far?
Oh, it's been a crazy ride, and it's been what yesterday was the actual beginning of free agency, but it
So, Happy New Year.
seems like it's already been 3 weeks since we released Howard, but that just happened. And
It
it's
seems
been
like
crazy.
forever.
It's up and down for sure already.
Yeah, there's no format. We should have a very strong format of the show, but we're gonna have a friendly conversation about the topics going on. Of course, the big news is about Christian Wilkins leaving the Dolphins, that huge contract. During last season, we talked a lot about what was the expectation for Wilkins' contract. We thought like it was 24 million will be way too much. The guy got $27.5 million a year. So, Steve, what are your thoughts about Christian Wilkins? Basically, our Fins TV Awards leadership award winner, the co-MVP for defense, leaving the Dolphins for the Raiders.
I would say that it was absolutely a no-brainer, considering the rumors that were out there. And many people have said it. We've said it in our offline chat group that the guy bet on himself, and
Yes.
nobody's really going to know what happened, what was said in the contract talks leading up to the 2023 season. But he was offered. He said, no, that's not enough. Maybe his agent said, hey, look, there's going to be a huge YouTube TV deal coming down the pike. Salary cap's going to go up. Bet on yourself. Whatever it was, he went all in on himself, and he won big. And it's really truly unfortunate from the fan side of this to see somebody like Christian Wilkins go. And I mean, I know we all agreed, and I remember saying it very clearly, that Christian Wilkins is that rare breed of it. He's not a Chris Jones talent, but he's as close to as elite, if he's not elite, as you're going to get, with a passion for the game. He's not just doing it because he's good. He's doing it because he loves the game. And it really sucks. It sucks to see players like that go, but I'm also old enough to remember the years of the Dolphins fans being upset that we're losing players, and they go hit the free agency market and they end up going out there and just getting little bits and scraps of, offers. They're not getting those the trend setting deals from their new teams. So really unfortunate to see Wilkins go. Everybody's going to miss him in the aqua and orange, but it was a no-brainer that they weren't going to be able to pay that.
Absolutely. The contract was huge. The Dolphins, Christian Wilkins bet on himself. He won, definitely, most definitely. He was healthy. He had a great year. The Dolphins also bet on themselves. They were hoping that last year would have been a better year. The Dolphins probably win a Super Bowl. The expectation was with the Super Bowl, and we broke the bank, and so leaves. So it was worth it. But the year was, it is what it is. Hopefully next year we have a different ample. But I'm gonna go to Matt. Matt, we talk a lot during the Phinside Awards about the leadership skills of Christian Wilkins, his value for the team. He's an ascending player. He kept getting better every single year. So I want to know your thoughts about the Dolphins losing Christian Wilkins.
I remember when he was drafted, I thought it was a great pick. I had no idea that he would become as good as he did. I think that's kudos to many things. First and foremost, the person who identified him as that year's first round pick for the Dolphins. But I had doubts as to whether we would re-sign him, simply because he's not someone who touches the ball on every play. You're talking about incredible amount of money. Is he worth it? I'm not saying he's not. I'll never say that. But once it starts getting up into that stratosphere, you kind of realize that this isn't going to happen, and you hate it because you're a fan of him, charismatic, good, really good player. But I think for me, the real thing that set this off, that it's a no brainer, he's gone, is when they released the news that the salary cap actually was going to go up a little bit more than was expected, which actually happens just about every year. So as soon as that happened, any hope that Wilkins would re-sign, salt and peppers, him and Sealer and all of that stuff. It's gone, right? So from my point of view, what do? Well, there's always the draft. There's plenty of picks in the draft. Go find another one. Just go find another one. He's gone. Wish him the best. And the last thing I have to say about this particular thing is it wasn't that long ago that the Dolphins were crucified because they signed Ndamukong Suh for a very, very outrageous contract. And again, not a guy that touches the ball on every down or every other down. Remember, you guys, I know each one of you remembers Laughing Stock. The internet was full of the jokes about how the Dolphins could give that much money to that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how the Raiders fans are going to be feeling over the next year or two. And I want Christian Wilkins to do great, except for when he plays us, right? But that's a big, big thing to carry on you. I hope he performs. I hope he does well.
Absolutely. Eddie, we talked a lot during the season and on our chats and our private chats about the money worth of Christian Wilkins. We talked about 20 million. There was 22 million. There was rumors about 24 million, and we could not believe that 24 million. But when the new contract went and the salary cap went up, we said anything can happen, and certainly did. So, what are your thoughts about Christian Wilkins leaving the Dolphins and that humongous contract that he just got?
Well, you guys are absolutely right. When it took that big a jump, the salary cap, that actually hurt us,
Mm-hmm.
even though it helped us to get closer to the cap. But right there, the players said, "Oh boy,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to pay me more now." I love Christian Wilkins, one of my favorite players. Loved him with Sealer, but I was, I'm not an agent or anything, but I didn't want him to sign him for 20 million per year. So when I saw what he got, I was like, good for him, but not for me, because I forgot all about the Sue contract, how much they paid him, and that really did not work out for Miami at all. That was a ton of money for a defensive tackle. I don't know how the defensive tackle market is now bigger than the guys that get the sacks on the edge, but it is a lot. Even I think oh guys, help me out. My brain today is awful. The tag for the defensive tackles was more than edge rushers. I could not believe that. That's got to be the first time. Gonna miss him. Love his hustle. He was a great. I'm sure he was a great teammate in there. He cared about his teammates, and it's rough, but they had to move on. That was way too much money.
It was certainly was. He will be missed. We all respect the Wilkins. We're taking no value. He earned his money. But when you get that kind of contract, the expectations are way, way higher. So he has
one last thing. I'm sorry.
Yes, yes, please.
He was considered a bust too by all these writers for
Remember
the
that?
first year or two. It's just
All the Twitter GMs. He was a bust.
They
He's a bust
said he was a bust
from day one.
Obviously, he was not.
Absolutely. Let's go to some of the comments. We had a lot of comments today. So let's go to Cap for Life, our resident commentator here. Cap, good evening. Let's go to Cherry.
She's not a fan of the bucket hat.
Oh, no, the bucket hat.
She's not a fan of it.
MC Phinside fam. There you go. And, please go ahead, Steve.
No. I was going to say, you were going through the comments here. Cap, good to see you. It's been 4 weeks. Thanks for coming back to see us. While I definitely agree that it's extremely frustrating, I want to say that it's actually a refreshing change from the past where we saw Greer kind of stretching and setting a market for players that didn't really deserve the deals that we were getting just to keep familiar faces in the systems and schemes that knew Miami. And instead, now they're so sought after in the free market that they're setting the market for prices that we're not willing to pay. I mean, and I think we'll get into Van Ginkel here. I don't want to segue too early, but I really am more upset about Van Ginkel leaving than I am Wilkins. Because, first of all, Van Ginkel was a 5th-round draft pick between him and Sealer, I don't know who was the more under appreciated and overachieving player across the league. And Van Ginkel really truly was constantly improving, versatile, an absolute always running at a high octane level every time he was out on the field, and he got results every time he got a chance. I'm more upset about that. But anyway, back to my point. Completely agree with you that it's frustrating, but we can't go out there and pay $12.5 million to Van Ginkel and 26, 27, whatever it is that's going to make Wilkins say, yeah, I guess it's worth it to stay in Miami. Greer just couldn't match it. And that's a refreshing change than just stretching and paying players to stick around when they really don't deserve it.
Absolutely. Before we go to Van Ginkel, I wanna know your thoughts. Like we talk about, every action there's a counter reaction. The defensive tackle market blew up and the guard market blew up. Robert Hunt got $20 million a year. That's incredible. Expectation was between $13 and $60 million for the high. $20 million, good for him. But the guard. Uh, uh, Who's that guy that was GM for the Colts who drafted Peyton Manning? I'm very funny right now. He used to say that drafting a guard on the first round used to be crazy. Now guards are getting drafted the first round, centers are getting drafted the first round, and the guard market just blew up. So I want to know your thoughts, Steve, about that. Robert Hunt getting $20 million a year.
Absolutely insane. It's every position is going to blow up except for maybe punter or something, and at some point maybe their market will blow up. Look at the cap inflation numbers, and they're making exponentially more than what they were 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. But offensive guard, put it on the offensive line in general. I think that is probably the most glaringly obvious positions where you're either good or you're not. And if you're good at an offensive guard, offensive tackle in this league, you are going to get paid. And Robert Hunt, he's not elite, but he is good, and he's shown improvement. Got hurt this year, along with everybody else on the Miami Dolphins, it seems, but except for Tua. But it's very good timing for other teams to have that cap space to be able to take advantage of good players hitting the market. Very poor timing for Miami because we just didn't have that free cap space to use. But I'll talk about this in a while when I get some free moments to talk and ramble on about things. But offensive line was a position we didn't have the luxury to lose anything on, and we ended up losing one of our top players there.
Absolutely. You just made me remember that meme that said, well, Tua didn't get hurt. What does it cost? Everybody, everything, everybody else got hurt. Everybody else got hurt. I want to go to Eddie. Eddie, we talked a lot about Trevor Hunt. With the expectation was he might get with $13 and $16 million a year, $20 million a year. Well deserved, but certainly huge for a guy who's a lot of potential, but yet he's not a Pro Bowl player, at least not playing the Pro Bowl. He got the money. He well deserved, but still it's shocking that he got $20 million a year.
Yeah, a couple years ago, the guard market exploded. A few years ago, I don't know if it was 4 years ago, maybe, they overpaid all the guards. And then all of a sudden, everybody realized they made a mistake by overpaying guards. Then the guard market dropped off again. So I think we're having that this year because all the guards are really getting a ton of money again. Now, there could be thinking he's a tackle out there. I don't know. I'm not sure on their offensive line. I'm not very familiar with their offensive line at all. Maybe they think he's a tackle and they're giving him 20. But if we had 100 million under, I wouldn't pay a guard $20 million a year. I wouldn't, because you can find good young guards. You need serviceable guards. He might not have fit the scheme that they want. That was my other thing with Wilkins. I forgot to mention. I have no idea what our defense is going to look like if they're using more of a nose tackle. Wilkins is not a nose tackle, so. But anyways, back to Hunt. Yeah, I'm not. No way I would have paid that much money. It's not my money. I'm glad he got his money, but no, thank you, and hope he has a great career because I loved him too.
Absolutely. The Panthers have been criticized for not having a plan. The Dolphins, during the Black Monday edition, the Sun Sentinel basically called that David had said the Dolphins had no plan, and Perk said that they don't know what they were doing. I'm gonna go to Matt. Matt, we talked so many times about the media. The the media is not what they used to be. Basically the local media have no sources. They're basically reporters. They report what they go to the game, they see the game, they have a couple of sources inside the team. They basically read the tweets and they comment and stuff. But during that Black Monday edition, they said that the Dolphins had no north, they had no plan. That ass clown, the Joe Roast show, Hollywood said that they don't know what they were doing. That classic ass clown. But I digress. But the Dolphins certainly proved that Chris Greer know what he's doing. The Dolphins started planning, but Robert Hunt, $20 million a year, that's a tough pill to swallow for any team. But the Panthers certainly did it.
I'm going to kind of go circular on this, so stay with me. It wasn't
Yes.
that long ago that the Dolphins were always one of one, two, three teams that were a target for this free agent or that free agent or this other free agent. And something really interesting has happened. I want you to picture that all of these big number dollar amount free agents, let's imagine that they actually went to the Dolphins. They came to the Dolphins from wherever. But this year they're leaving the Dolphins, and they're leaving in a manner which nobody's really worried about it except the Sun Sentinel and except for Chris Perkins and Dave Hyde, because that's how they sell clicks and ink, right? But the Dolphins aren't bereft of talent. There's a foundation there. In years past, they would go and get those free agents to come in, but there was no foundation. They were just trying to stick pieces here and there. Oh, we got that guy. Great. That's going to be the one that puts us over the top. And all it did was put us in the hunt. And all it did was put us at, 8-7. And if we win this one and all these other things happen, we have a chance at making the playoffs.
Middle of the pack over and over ground.
Yeah, always. But this year, we're the ones who are sitting back. We're not signing these mega deals with anybody, and I'm fine with that. You know who isn't fine with that is the ones I just mentioned, because doom and gloom sells. And one of the craziest things that's happened over the last couple of days, I don't know what he's doing, but Barry has been absolutely fine with the Dolphins' moves this week.
As for you, Cap, it's Cap saying that exactly. Barry has been right on the money.
He's and every time I see him, I'm thinking, who has commandeered his Twitter? who grabbed his phone? Because for years, and Steve knows this, I've taken Barry to task with the gloom that I used to joke about him writing how we haven't signed any guards or drafted any guards since 1987. And why is this always a bad thing for the Dolphins? And this week he's been really, really, really calm. And it's refreshing because those other guys, they're selling their clicks, man. They don't know what they're doing. What's going on with the Dolphins? It's the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Sammy, you referred to it earlier. The sky is definitely not falling. I'm more excited about this Dolphins team's future than I have been in a long time. And y'all know what I called their record to be this past season. I'm really happy with some of the moves they've made. That's my 2 cents on it.
Absolutely. The talking a little bit more of the media. The days of friend of the show, Amanda Salguero, who has sources inside the building before the draft. He knew where the direction the team is going and who's gonna be the free agent, who's gonna do visit. Those days are gone. The media basically sources. A lot of guys just use what Alan Schechter says. so and so sign for so, that they're gonna comment. They go to the game, but they're spectators. They're basically reporters. Nothing wrong with that, but that's the truth. They become reporters, and you see them translating to what they used to criticize. Now they get into podcasting. They used to say, "No, that's podcast. They don't know what they're doing. Whatever." Now they're moving from print media to digital media to podcasting because they know, basically the fans. I'm not an expert. We all here in this panel never claim to be an expert. We're just some a crew that loves the Dolphins. That, you know, I said Fins TV is a love letter to the Dolphins, but the fact is that some of us have as much information as some of the media does. They get the tweets, they get the information, and they react to it. But that's another for another day. We're gonna basically gonna do some power rankings of the media sources around the NFL. So that's going to be probably someday during the offseason. But Robert Hunt got his money, well deserved. But still, the Panthers paid a lot for it. Like Eddie said, maybe they're thinking, we're going to sign him as the guard. But if we can move it to tackle, he's going to be a bargain. If he becomes an all-pro tackle, right tackle, he's going to be a bargain. Who knows what they're doing in Carolina? I don't think anybody knows. So we're going to move on to Xavien Howard. Xavien Howard, probably one of the best corners in the history of the Dolphins. I ran a poll on the Fins TV Twitter X page. He ran number 2 compared to Sam Madison. Sam Madison won that poll, but Xavien Howard for sure someday is going to be in the honor of the Dolphins. He's certainly going to be missed, but there's some in the media, specifically Bigo. Bigo has been calling for years to saying this is the year they're going to call Xavien Howard, and they extend him. And this year they're going to call him Xavien Howard, and they didn't cut him. But it came to the point where the Dolphins, as reported, went to Xavien Howard, say, we need to take a pay cut. And he say, that's not going to happen. So I'm going to go to Steve. Steve, certainly going to be a huge boy for Xavien Howard leaving the Dolphins, but the Dolphins got some help today.
Dolphins definitely got some help today, and Xavien Howard, I'll take that one on first, is one of those rare times when recency bias doesn't outweigh other stuff. And I'm kind of curious. It's one of those weird things. I think a lot of Dolphins fans are salty about how he's left. Basically, the second he said, hey, I'm not taking a pay cut, he posted up on social media and the news got out there. It was like a bad, ugly divorce. And Xavien Howard has been an absolute stud. He was underrated. I think a lot of the reason why he was underrated was the uniform that he was wearing. 29 interceptions. When he was healthy, he delivered. The bottom line on my opinion with Xavien is, first of all, he's getting up there in years. Ironically, he's the same age as our new quarterback. Kendall Fuller has been in the league the same number of years, drafted that same one. I digress. But he's getting up there in years. His body is breaking down. He's not the same Xavien Howard that was getting paid to be the Xavien Howard from a few years ago. And I know that we talked about this in our chat groups. Every single time that Xavien went to our front office in Miami, they said, okay, we'll pay you more. Okay, we'll pay you more. Okay, we're going to pay you more. They took care of him at every stop. Why he's salty right now, I have no idea, but that right there sours my opinion of him. That'll go away. I'll always look back with fondness on what X has done for us in Miami, but that type of mentality just really sours on me, because don't act like we spurned you when the Dolphins organization paid you top dollar every single time that you came to them asking for more. But I don't know a whole lot about Kendall Fuller, I admit, but what I'm seeing from him in terms of the number of games that he's played, last 3 years, he's gone 16, 17, and 15 games. Last 3 years, Howard's gone 16, 15, 13 games, maybe a little bit more versatility. I know Xavien Howard, really, all of my great memories of Xavien were him lining up on that left side of the defense facing forward. My understanding is Kendall Fuller excels all across the entire backfield, which hopefully will allow the defense, to start moving Jalen Ramsey around to shadowing the number one wide receivers, or just give some confusing looks that offenses really aren't sure what's going to be thrown at them. So, and we still don't know what Cam Smith is going to give us. So we lost out in losing Xavien Howard. We're gonna have that dead money hit. It's gonna suck. It's gonna hurt. But I'm fine with Xavien Howard moving on.
Absolutely. I'm gonna go next to Eddie. Eddie, I want to know your thoughts about Xavien Howard. Basically, you know, he's salty. He said the Dolphins tried to be nice and said, "Well, the door is open." He said, "No, I'm not going back there. The door is shut." So, but that was basically conversation. The Dolphins had no plans to bring him back. But I want to know your thoughts about Xavien Howard leaving the Dolphins and Fuller basically taking his spot. How you compare
Yeah,
that?
I was surprised with his. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised with his attitude because Steve brought it up. They took care
Mhm.
of him without having any holdouts. Maybe he might have held out a week or two. Every time he wanted an extension or more money, he was paid near the top of the league. And I don't know what happened. Maybe with the Ramsey contract, maybe that made him mad. I'm not sure. Um, he is one of the best corners they've ever had. But he's only had two interceptions in the past 2 years, one this year and one last year, I believe. Uh, he's getting up there. His body is breaking down, unlike Fuller's, who's played a lot of games, and Fuller's very versatile too. He can play slot, he can play outside. I already saw our buddy Nomar breaking down that signing as like he's a bum, and he's not. If you remember, Fuller's whole defensive line got traded away. That defense was junk, and he was covered. He was out there all by himself last year. As for Howard, I'm happy for the years he put in here. Time to move on. You don't like it here anymore? Go. I don't. They stuck through you with you through some
Mm.
pretty trying times for Howard, and I know there is no such thing as loyalty for either side. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. We know that.
they,
Exactly.
they, the team runs it as a business. They will cut you with money left on your contract, and the players, it's the same thing. They know it's all a business. So I just don't know why he was salty. That was the only thing that left me surprised. If he would have just exited like Wilkins and Hunt and all them, I wouldn't have had a problem. But it kind of made me a little mad. But who am I? But I do
Um,
like
uh,
the Fuller signing, and they expected him to get 15 million a year, Fuller, at the start of free agency, and I think Miami signed him what 2 years, 16 million. I want
Yeah.
to
yeah,
say
Yeah.
right around there. Pretty
it's,
good
it's
deal.
certainly it's certainly being impressive. What we're gonna talk a little bit more at the end about Chris Greer, but I want to say now that he's been impressive. If you had expectations for the salary, some of the players the Dolphins had gotten, uh, we can say Chris Greer has done a couple of bargains in there. Absolutely, my wonderful job. But I'm gonna go to Matt. Matt, you know, again, Xavien Howard is gonna be hopefully someday a Hall of Famer, for sure, an overall member of the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins, like we talked here before, they stuck to him. He has some off the field issues. The Dolphins were more than comprehensive with him. No one bashing the media. Basically, they reported but treated very nicely. So those sour grapes from Xavier Howard, he can do whatever he wants. It's understandable. He can now go search his money. I don't think he's gonna get the money. Even the money the Dolphins will probably willing to pay him the pay cut, he's not gonna get on an open market, as we can see with the Fuller contract. But I want to your thoughts about Xavien Howard.
I chose him in your poll today as the best Dolphins cornerback.
Okay.
In my opinion, he's an eventual Hall of Famer. I think that it was the writing was on the wall with him with his contracts, his extensions. It wasn't that long ago that he wanted to be the highest paid corner, and I remember there was the media. Oh my God, is he going to hold out? And then he showed up at training camp. He did his thing. He was the highest paid for however long he was, and he performed. And what is indisputable is the production that he had when he was healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, his body didn't do him any favors, and I am convinced that Fangio didn't do him any favors last season. But the one thing that I want to address, and Eddie just said something a minute ago that is so absolutely true. There's no loyalty. This is a business, and we all
Yes.
know that. And I'm really glad that Eddie brought that up because the bottom line is really the bottom line. But as far as the saltiness and the comment, I can tell you that that door's closed, and it may be very innocent. It may be, oh man, I'm not coming back to the Dolphins. But the way it's been portrayed is that he said it in such a negative way, and I'm not going to give any credence to it. I'm going to give it to, if he said that, great. He let the world know that he's out looking for a job someplace else. It doesn't change my opinion on him. I don't know him personally. I know what I watched for his entire career here. I remember when he was drafted thinking, is that Xavier or Xavien? I don't know that I'd ever heard Xavien in my life.
Me neither.
And I've heard like four of them since he joined the Dolphins. But the point is that dude could ball, and I'm a fan of his, and I hope he lands someplace where he can play. And just like Wilkins, I wish him the best, unless he's playing us.
Absolutely. Again, let's concentrate on the positive at the end. So, Xavien Howard, again, future Hall of Famer, a future member of the honor roll. And if someone is signed a Xavien Howard jersey, I know a guy I can probably hook him up. Okay, right, Eddie? Anyway, let's go to Andrew Van Ginkel. Andrew Van Ginkel, certainly, you know, he's gonna be missed. The Dolphins, a warrior, the embodiment of a player you want on your team. Play hard every single down. Uh, but again, this is a business, and the Dolphins apparently wanted to go in a different direction with a different edge and a different inside linebacker. So I'm gonna go, Steve. Steve, what are your thoughts about Andrew Van Ginkel? Minnesota is getting a great one. He's going back to the Midwest.
Yeah, there's absolutely no doubt that Minnesota's getting somebody who is versatile, no matter who his defensive coordinator was. The scheme, the ask, whether it was in coverage, he was consistently reliable. Rushing the quarterback was an absolute overachiever. And when he got, this is a shout out to Jason Sarney, who is one of Van Ginkel's biggest cheerleaders out there.
Friend of the show, Jason Sarney.
Absolutely, friend of the show, Jason. That anytime he got at least 80% of the snaps, I think we had one loss, and it was double digits for wins. So there's coincidences, and then there's trends, and I think that was along the lines of a trend. And I already said it earlier. He was overachieved, underappreciated across the league. Certainly not in Miami. I think it's going to be a big loss for us. But I do think some of the moves that they have out there, and really not knowing what the scheme is going to do for us, that's we're gonna have to find out how the Dolphins are going to adjust to that. But it's a huge loss for the organization, no doubt.
Absolutely, he's a guy who played hurt. He really boomed last year. He could have gone to the Patriots and basically made a U-turn to came back to the Dolphins. The Dolphins were so happy to have him during the when we lost Phillips and lose Chop. He was there. He was a huge member of the team. Eddie, I have to you, Van Ginkel, one of your favorite players. This guy's certainly going to be missed.
I'm depressed on that one. That's the only one that really, really hit me hard because it wasn't, an outrageous contract. But I don't know. It could have been him wanting to go back to the Midwest, although it looked like, judging by all his wife's tweets, that she wanted to stay in Miami because it looked like she's going to miss it here. That
Yeah.
was a song she was playing, at least. But again, I don't know if he's the scheme this guy's going to run, if that has something to do with it. But to me, you could put him inside, outside, line him up at defensive end. He was so versatile. He was probably one of our best guys on punt block we've had in forever. How many times did he block a punt or scoop and score? That one was the only one that really hit me hard like that. It's I don't know. They lost a good character guy and a guy that tries so hard every play he's out on that field, and gonna miss that guy.
Absolutely. Matt, again, we all fans of certainly Andrew Van Ginkel. It's certainly going to be missed.
Yeah, again, Eddie and me are simpatico when it comes to this. Huge, huge Van Ginkel fan, and I remember vividly he made his appearance, the fumble recoveries. Eddie was just talking about this, and I'm almost positive it was against the Rams that he took it back to the house. And who Van what? Yes, this is awesome. This is back when we were tanking for Tua. Remember, the team was supposed to be awful, and there were these little nuggets. There were these little acorns. I think is what uh, they used to call it. Parcells digging for acorns, trying to find somebody. Um, I agree with Eddie. That one was the one that I was like, I really would have loved to have kept him because my knowledge of the system, I thought that he might be that we might be able to pay him based on where the salary cap was and our commitments. But the one thing we don't know, and we really haven't talked about it, is what the incoming DC wants to do. He's seen uh, the players that we've lost and the players that we still have, and that may have been a factor as well with some of these guys leaving. It's not just the money. You got to wonder if there was, there's internal conversations, things of that nature. Hey, you might not be in our future. You might not be exactly what we're looking for. So we're going to let you explore. Those are factors that we as fans don't really see or know. But much like the rest of them, it's really hard to be upset about any of these guys we've lost because they all seem like such good guys or they were great players for the Miami Dolphins. He goes to Minnesota. He's in the NFC. He's in the NFC East. I wish him the best unless he's playing us.
Absolutely. Now Shaquille Barrett comes to the Dolphins basically to take his spot. Uh, I think he's won a Super Bowl. He's a team captain. A lot is adding a lot of team captains. I don't want to your very very shortly, Steve, your thoughts about the addition of Shaquille Barrett as a new edge for the Dolphins, basically replacing what Andrew Van Ginkel used to do on the edge and filling the gap while Phillips and Chubb come back from injury.
I mean, he's been NFC. I'm just looking at what I know about Shaq Barrett. I live, breathe, eat, sleep Miami Dolphins. So
Yes.
he's been in Tampa, so I hear his name a lot. He's been a consistent presence throughout his career in the NFL. If I'm just looking year over year, 52 tackles, 4.5 sacks versus 69 tackles to 6 sacks for Van Ginkel. I'm not going to call that a wash, but he's coming in at a lower price tag, and we know that that's really where the premium had to be for Miami right now in this offseason. So I just hope he stays healthy. That's going to be my theme for the Miami Dolphins this year is, for God's sakes, just stay healthy. It's if he can do that and put up the same type of numbers, then it's going to be a solid backfill in hopes that Chubb and both Phillips can come back healthy.
Absolutely, a lot of new guys are doing in the chat, a lot of commentating, and please like and subscribe. We appreciate it all being there. Let's go to some of the comments over here.
Careful, they are absolutely eviscerating Chris Greer right now. Just be careful.
Let's go here. Cap for life, 8 years as GM. He also drafted Howard in 2016, but he does not great for Chas Harry in 2017. That's a fair comment.
Every GM has big whiffs. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not making up for it. But
no,
Charles Harris was horrible pick. But you're right. But every GM has bad picks.
Could have been worse. We could be stuck with Mike Tannenbaum. So that would suck. Cliff, let me go to Cliff here. Greer let Mike Dieter walk, and he started sending Houston. That was a low developer for sure. He was a low developer. Well, let's go again. Let's go to Jerome Baker. Jerome Baker, the Dolphins apparently tried to restructure the deal to have a team-friendly deal because the cap number was way too big with no guaranteed money. They could not come to agreement, and they let him walk. as you saw in Hard Knocks, for those who saw it, the guy is a warrior. He played hurt during that Buffalo game. He transformed himself to the early years to a sort of completely different linebacker during the last years of the Dolphins. I want to start with Eddie. Eddie, what are your thoughts about Dolphins moving on from Jerome Baker?
Well, it sounded like they almost had a deal done, but last minute, it just didn't work out. So they moved on, and I believe they upgraded that position. Um, I love the guy from Seattle. He he he's another guy that stays healthy. He tore his ACL at the end, the last game of a season, and he was back for the first game of the season the next year, and still had a good year.
Jordan
He's
Brooks.
Yes, Jordyn Brooks. He had 184 tackles in a season, and he also had 100 and something solo for 2 years straight. That man's a tackling machine. He's the heart and soul of the defense. Uh, he was in Seattle. You see him yelling at the other players on the sideline. We all said we need more guys like that to fire up the team when things aren't going right. Um, Not just rah guys. You need guys that fire up. Look, if you're messing up, somebody needs to yell at you sometime. Love Baker. Um, don't know Phil where he's going to end up. Um, hope he finds a good place, but just hope he doesn't play against us well. I just hope he doesn't do well against us, like Matt says all the time. But I'm okay with him moving on, because if not, if they kept everybody they kept last year, we didn't exactly shut down anybody at the end of the year, did we? I mean, I know some of it's offense, but it would have been wash, rinse, repeat for the defense. Let the let them drive down the field the whole time, keep the offense off the field, and they had to move on from a couple players. And I don't know if we're talking about Brandon Jones, but the
We
Dolphin
will.
killer.
You can do it now. We can talk about
Yeah,
Brandon Jones,
the Dolphin
Baker
killer,
both.
the guy that took out
I don't even
Howard
want to
and
say that.
took out Baker. Um, Good luck to him in Denver. Good luck to his teammates. That's all I got to
Good luck
say.
to his teammates in Denver. Absolutely. When you see that, of course, I don't know very much about him, but when you see his highlights in Seattle, uh, the speed, the intensity, you can see, wow, that's a completely different linebacker from what we used to hear in Miami for so many years. So we'll see what happens. But I want to go to Matt. Matt, Jerome Baker, a team guy, family oriented guy. He loves his mom. You can remember those so many back years ago. Those highlights of him, Mike Dodd looking, "Where's my mama?" Remember that was he's a guy a lot of fun during the field, but his son is gonna be mixed, Matt.
Yeah, at a personal level, I want the Dolphins to get another Zach Thomas type, that anchor right in the middle of that defense. That might be a little ancient thinking with the evolution that the NFL undergoes. It seems like almost every year. So it was easy to be a fan of Jerome Baker.
Hmm.
He came in, and for the most part, for his entire career, he was healthy. He seemed like a good guy. I do think it's telling that he hasn't signed anywhere yet. Uh, maybe our image of him or our impression of him is greater than what the rest of the league is looking at. I can't imagine that he's asking for incredible money. And I say that, and we just had a love fest over Xavien Howard as well, and he hasn't signed anywhere either. So maybe we've inflated this so great that we're blinded by our fandom. But as far as Jerome Baker is concerned, uh, Eddie, you and me are playing ping pong, man. I wish him the best wherever he lands, unless he's playing us. And man, I'm really going to change everything I just said if he lands at one of the other two AFC East teams.
I think there are rumors that he's visiting Tennessee or Houston, either one of those. So he's probably going to go to the AFC South. Steve, what else thoughts about Baker? Certainly, it's going to be missed, but the Dolphins move on probably to a linebacker who fits the scheme better. He was pick one pick before Patrick Quinn. A lot of Dolphins wanted Patrick Quinn, but he's pretty comparable, especially for the money he got.
Yeah, the whole Patrick Queen thing. When I realized that he was, where did he go to? Did he go to Pittsburgh? That should be illegal. Like, I don't know, a Raven defender going to Pittsburgh. It seems criminal almost, right? That would have been a hell of a pickup if we had been able to pull that off. But I'm one of those ones that looks at it from the top down. You could tell me that you hired the water boy from the Ravens, and I would think that that would somehow upgrade us because they are just so good year in and year out, especially on defense. So, we've got a new DC who was at Baltimore for so long, and I think that that's going to pay dividends with this team and whoever ends up being on this defense.
Steve, that was my bad. I'm gonna go to you.
No,
That
that's
was
all
my
good.
that
Nope. All good. Matt's always good airtime instead of me. I appreciate that. No, I'll group these together, and this is Baker and Brandon Jones are, in my opinion, a perfect illustration of what I was talking about earlier in the show. Years past, the Dolphins overpay Jerome Baker and Brandon Jones just to keep them here. Brandon Jones, you know what? I've been a fan of him. Eddie's not wrong. He is a friendly fire mistake waiting to happen out there, especially last year. Hurt a lot of our players. Jerome Baker, Eddie, you touched on this. We talked about it in previous shows. The man dislocated his wrist and finished out the game. I get a hangnail and I can't do yard work. So you look fondly upon Jerome Baker more than Brandon Jones. Brandon Jones is his first time to come up for free agency, and he decided to go get the money that people were willing to pay him. Kudos to him. Good luck to him. Jerome Baker, he had his run here. Certainly not worth overpaying. I think it was one of those nice, warm, comfortable blanket feelings for Jerome Baker that we love the name. It's comfortable. We're used to it, but we're just afraid to move on. And everything that I see in Jordyn Brooks is 110% of an upgrade in terms of what we're going to get. When I think NFC West, I think Fred Warner, I think those types of linebackers that absolutely go lateral, sideline to sideline, dominate, put their heads down, and beat the living piss out of an offensive player that's coming towards them. And the tape that I've seen in very limited amounts is Jordyn Brooks, and I'm looking forward to that impact, not just in terms of what he's directly going to do for our defense, but what he's going to do to bring the others around him. Because to be honest, we're losing counts of tackles in terms of who's leaving our team, who's still around, but somebody like Jordyn Brooks will help elevate others around him, and we need that. We've still got a young guy named Channing Tindall out there. No clue what the heck's going on with him. Maybe he'll never see anything in terms of positive field time for the Dolphins on defense. But it would be really great to see a great mentor presence come in there and lift up the other players.
Absolutely. You transition well to something I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to go to Eddie. Eddie, of all the additions, which one is your favorite addition, and why is Jordan Poyer?
I'm excited about Jordyn Poyer.
I wonder why.
I wanted him last year, but they got him this year. My brother read it to me. I was cooking spaghetti and sauce, and I just started cheering like I was watching a game. But I love Jordyn Poyer. But anyways, it's a tough question. I'll say this: my favorite thing about this so far is usually we take injury risks all the time on our free agents.
Mm-hmm.
The first signing we had was an injury risk, the linebacker. But I think he's going to be a backup. The guy from Cleveland.
Walker?
Yeah, we'll go with that. I don't know. I forgot.
I think.
But they've had so many signings. But everybody
he's a team captain apparently with the Browns. So
he's a good player when he's
a good leader.
But everybody else has played and played and played. I mean, they're all healthy. They usually all stay healthy. So they didn't take that risk this year, so that was big to me. And man, I tell you, I love stealing the best special team player in the AFC East from the Bills, Syrian Neal, because our special teams is not good, and that guy can ball out on special teams. It might not seem like a big thing, but if you make a team start at the 10 instead of the 40 because of a missed tackle, that's a huge thing. But I guess I'll stop talking in a circle here, and I'm going to go with Brooks. I'm really excited to see him paired up with Long. They should be a great duo for tackles for loss.
I'm just shocked he's not Jordan Poyer, but Matt, I'm gonna do it to you, Matt. Who's your favorite addition? Well, new addition to the Dolphins.
Mrs. Poyer.
I knew it.
I've been a fan of Mrs. Poyer for 10 years, man. I can't believe our luck. I might go to every home game this year. Who's my favorite pick or pick up?
Okay, the favorite player edition. Player edition.
Player edition. Yeah, let's make sure we're clear on this.
Yes.
I'm really,
Are you good there, Eddie? Yes, you're still cracking up
because he's right.
I knew it. Please go ahead, man. I'm sorry about that.
I'm really intrigued by the Kendall, right? The cornerback that we just signed today.
Mm-hmm.
His performance has been as much under the radar as it can possibly be. The goal last year was to team up Jalen Ramsey with X, and for a stretch, it was great. Still that drug of hoping that they can do that with this iteration that's coming in 2024. But the catch is always going to be, show me a strong defensive line, and I'll show you a Pro Bowl defensive backfield. So it's really going to be what we do up there in the draft, in free agent signings. But you got a piece to put with Ramsey. You've got some pieces with Javon Holland, who's already here, and then signing Poyer. It gives me faith that, like I always tell you guys and our audience, the sky's not falling. There's a foundation here. And I think for me, my favorite part about it is that cornerback. The rest of it, it's going to be fun watching it get built.
Absolutely. So those are there. Please like and subscribe. Steve, I'm going to go to you. To you, all the player additions. I know you're going to go to a player. I have no problems with you. Who do you think is the more important addition for the Dolphins right now?
Well, it's what they're doing in free agency right now is pretty clear. They're running it back on offense, which frankly petrifies the living hell out of me, because I don't care how many picks we have. Chris Greer's kryptonite is drafting offensive linemen, just the same as Bill Belichick could never draft a wide receiver in New England. And on that note, I'm going to say that Aaron Brewer is my favorite free agent signing, because we have a dedicated player at center. Now, my hope is that they keep him at center and they don't say, oh my God, man, we could play him at guard, and then they throw him over there right guard or something like that, and we're stuck with Liam Eichenberg or God knows who at snapping the ball. I think that an experienced player at center snapping the ball, who in this zone running scheme has the ability to get out there and set the edge the way that he does, I think makes this an extremely strong under the radar signing for the Dolphins, and hopefully is just one of many things that they do with this offensive line, because for God's sakes, we can't keep on running it back with this offensive line. I don't care what Teron Armstead restructured into. Our offensive line is so thin right now. I think we have 4 tackles on contract right now. And one of them we're good for maybe 9 to 10 and a half games a season, and he's probably still our most expensive one. So I'm going to go with Aaron Brewer as my most exciting signing.
Absolutely. Um, for me, is the tight end with Jonas
Jonas Smith.
Jonas Smith. For me, that's a game changer. The two are stuck in the middle. You can see we like the tight ends, the great guys on but the Tua didn't have that threat of the middle. They didn't have a threat in the end zone. That's a huge difference. You can see the Super Bowl when San Francisco and Kansas City are hitting those tight ends is right in the middle. That's unless they sign Renfro, the wide receiver for the Raiders, Hunter Renfro.
Hunter
If they
Renfro.
if they find a way to do that, that's gonna be my favorite. Of course, that's what we go to my next question. If you can add, if there's anyone out there within reason that you could have a guilty treat. Mine at first was Hunter Henry, of course. Yeah, Travis Henry from the Titans. Steve knows I always want a running back, so of course I want Henry, but I knew that was not gonna happen. That's just me. Uh, but that wouldn't be my guilty treat. If you could add one more guilty treat within reason, of course, you cannot break the bank. Do you guys have anything you have? Oh, I would like that guy. Is still out there. I'm going to go first to Eddie.
I don't know if he signed. I think he's still there. He's the guard from the Ravens. Zeitler. I think he would be a very good addition um, to the offensive line, and I don't think he'd cost a ton. He's a little bit older, but guards can play a little bit longer than tackles can. Steve, by the way, that was the first year that guy played center last year.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, then he's not tenured. He's not experienced. I take it back.
But he does not have snapping issues, so that's a good thing.
Not
But
yet.
somebody yet until he gets injured. It's always to his fault.
Exactly.
Somebody like Kevin Zeitler or somebody right around that, where you could add stability and anchor the inside of that line.
Yeah, but to me, the defense basically held its own during those, except the Ravens game, held its own. But the offense got
Yeah.
stalled for some reason. The offense was not the same. I don't know if it was the offensive line, the center. Once the center went down, they were certainly not the same. But I still believe the Dolphins need to do more on offense. I don't know. Probably wide receiver number 3 is still open. They could go in the second round of the draft. They could go to free agency. Who knows? But I'm gonna go with Matt. Matt, do you see any free agent out there that you would like to add Dolphins to add, or you think anything will do?
I I had a pipe dream that they might go with Derrick Henry somehow.
Me too.
He's I think he's either on the verge of 30 or he just turned 30, and
Mhm.
with the rotation of the current running back room that we have, he wouldn't have as many miles on him this coming season, and he would be somebody that you could use in those short yardage or goal line instances. So I had this pipe dream of Derrick Henry, but uh, as far as who's out there now, I think that the player or players that I want the Dolphins to sign are the ones that are going to add the intangibles to the team, the ones who will come in, they'll play their game, they're willing to learn a new system, they're willing to incorporate themselves in, because again, the sky is not falling. Uh, there's a foundation here, and I am 100% behind Mike McDaniel, and and I want whoever their next free agent signings to be someone who wants to be here, wants to be part of something. We can all say that, yeah, but, and insert whatever you want as to what the reason was. I think it's funny that I'm included, we criticize Eichenberg or uh, even Williams for a bad snap. It happens. It happens. It's a part of the game. A dropped pass. These things happen. But the reality is that they have a foundation here. I love Steve's comment about how it petrifies him that the offense is still kind of exactly the same with the new center that we signed. But I would rather them be sitting kind of okay over here with the offense and rebuilding the defense. Because if you're doing it for all 22 positions, they don't have enough money and they don't have enough draft picks. So right now, just want them to find those players that want to be there, that want to be a part of a team, and they want to go, 20-0 in 2024.
Absolutely. Steve, I'm going to go to you. What do you think? What are your thoughts on what Matt just said? And who will be your guilty three? If you can ask anyone between reason to the office of those players are still free agents, who would it be?
If I have to go with a free agent, I'm going to have to go offensive line. I know a name out there that isn't a hot name, but Dalton Risner, guard. I think he started at the Broncos, went to the Vikings. I wouldn't mind them going out there and giving him a shot. As he's not a big name, he's not going to be a big high money contract. And frankly, we need depth. We need camp bodies. And if Butch Berry can, I don't want to say turned around the offensive line. I give the offensive scheme, Mike McDaniel, Tua, and the wide receivers a lot of the credit for what they did with the offensive line last year to make them really look as good as they did. But get some camp competition in there, not just camp bodies, but legit camp competition, and give that a chance. But I'm going to go out here and tip my cap to Cap, who put a comment up there a while ago. And I'm going to go with somebody that's not a free agent, but somebody that I know that's been kind of thrown around out there, a Super Bowl champion, really not necessarily looking to possibly break the bank, and it may not like a move from the West Coast to South Florida. And that would be, good God, I had his name on the tip of my tongue, defensive tackle for the Rams.
Aaron Donald?
Just had Aaron Donald. Bring me Aaron Donald into Miami. Find a way to get Aaron Donald here. Make it a new salt and pepper. I don't know. I don't care what you want to call it, but get a somebody in there to complement Jordyn Brooks right behind him. But give me some offensive line help.
Absolutely. We're going to talk before we go. We're going to go to a few minutes. I don't know if Cliff was in the chat over there, and he's not a fan of Chris Greer, but let's be fair for a second. Chris Greer had a lot of criticism. The expectations were, like I said, Black Monday. Chris Greer doesn't know what he's doing. He should be fired. If you look at the over record, he has a better record drafting than most of the GMs in the NFL right now. His free agents, the free agents over there, basically, the GMs over there basically said that the Dolphins free agents were worth a lot of money, so they have value. So overall, going to start with Eddie. Eddie, what are your thoughts about the job before we go? The job that Chris Greer has done, taking into consideration the difficulties of the Dolphins salary cap.
I think he's worked wonders to get to where they needed to be. I mean, before the league decided they were going to raise it up another, I don't know how many million, but it dropped him from 51 to 38, and to go from 38 million to being able to sign, how many players have they signed and re-signed?
Wow.
Like 10, 12 guys. And he's getting guys to come in, like I said, that are not hurt all the time this year. And he's getting good contracts. This is how the better teams do it. They don't go out there, even though we like the splashes and the huge contracts and, all right, we got that guy. It really does hurt your team. You got to start building through the draft more and going after the guys that are looking to win and get them on 2-year deals, and stop going for the guys that are looking for the huge paydays, because not only does it hurt your team in the long run, it makes the other players that you have to pay want more money also. So I think he changed it up this year, and I really, really love how he's handled free agency, and not, well, I ain't gonna say he hasn't traded our first pick yet, because there's always time, but but he's done an amazing job, and I'm a harsh critic of him, but I think he's done this year. He's done more with less than anybody else could.
And again, some of the criticism is fair. There have been spots in the late rounds where the Dolphins certainly missed a lot, but during the last couple of rounds, the Dolphins didn't have enough picks, so that was not a problem. So I'm gonna go to Matt. Matt, what are your thoughts about the job Chris Greer has done during these first days of free agency, considering the mess the Dolphins were put by themselves into?
One of the most ironic things about the fire Chris Greer crowd is they're frustrated because he didn't do anything on Monday. Black Monday. Oh my God, the sky's not falling, people. Do you understand that the guy who just let all these people walk for big money drafted those guys? You can't have it both ways.
Exactly.
This happens. This is a byproduct of this sport. You draft a guy, you've got him on a rookie deal for a few years, and then holy crap, he blows up. You can't keep them all. You can't. So if you're going to be in the fire Chris Greer crowd, okay, you're entitled to it. But I don't want to hear you crying about the players that they lost, because that's the guy that drafted those players. Having said that, and I love that Eddie said that he's been a critic of Chris Greer, because it goes to what he just said about the job he's done this year. I think he's put on a master class of filling needs that were absolutely necessary, staying in a budget, and being able to put a team right now today that looks like will be able to compete. We haven't said one bad thing about any of these signings, not one. We haven't said one bad thing about any of the players or any of the moves to let players go. So I get it. You don't like the guy because he didn't sign your favorite person, or he didn't draft that guy who went three picks later. I get it. But the reality is the Dolphins are going to be competitive in 2024, regardless of what the media says, regardless of what the experts say, because those are the same experts, the same media that told you since January that, oh my God, the salary cap, we have this much space and not enough money. And these guys, you know what? The Dolphins are going to be just fine, and Chris Greer's leading that charge.
I'm gonna go to you, Steve. Steve, a lot of ups and downs with Chris Greer. The fan base sometimes gets soured. Some people were very happy during the first part of the season. That once the injuries hit and the team started losing, the fire Greer came return all over again. But Chris Greer, we can say, of course, that they get into the mess they got with the salary cap over 30 million over the salary cap. That would apparently they knew what they were doing, because they'll find a way to bring some talent at very reasonable prices.
Yeah. No matter how mentally prepared I thought I was, Sunday night, Christmas Eve night, before free agency, the tampering window started and everything, whatever they want to call it now. No matter how prepared I thought I wasn't ready. And I'll admit, I was pissed all throughout Monday. And the reason why is, as Dolphins fans, we went through, and I'm being dramatic here, but it's our show. I'll be dramatic. We went through hell in this rebuild. We went through an absolute crap season in the tank for Tua, whatever season you want to call it. And we knew at that point we were stacking ourselves for a future. But in the NFL, those windows that open up don't stay open long. And the initial perception is that we're seeing all of this talent leave. And again, I'm looking at 1,060 tackles on our defense, and 546 of them are walking out the door. More than half of our tackles on defense have now left. And it's a tough pill to swallow for me. So I was extremely hard on him. And then day two came along into where we are now. And I'm settling like I always do. It gets in the rearview mirror, and it just becomes a lot more palatable for me. And seeing the players we're getting, I'm not as optimistic right now as Matt, which is usually the case, and I'm comfortable with that. But it's because I know that we still have a lot of things to do. You know, in terms of Greer, look, let's say he's done fantastic in filling holes at the prices that he has done, but I'm not going to forget that he re-signed Jake Bailey. He re-signed the same punter who was the second to last punter in terms of numbers this year. I don't give a damn if he was all-pro first team a couple of years ago. He did not do well, and then we watched Matt Ariza just go to Kansas City and you know, be in the running to be the first team to ever go back-to-back Super Bowl champions. That's disappointing. But in terms of Chris Greer, let's kind of segregate what he does, what his responsibilities are, and he does the drafting. He has a hand in hiring coaches, which a lot of them have failed, and we're TBD right now with Coach McDaniel. But Coach McDaniel isn't the strength and conditioning coach. He's not the person responsible for hiring the strength and conditioning coach. He's not the person who says, hey, we're going to hire this special teams coordinator. I don't know what in the hell they're doing in running it back with the entire special teams unit. Look, I give credit. Jake Bailey can hold a fantastic ball for Jason Sanders to kick. That's great. But we're going to have to punt the ball. We're going to have to tackle on defense. Maybe Siran Neal is going to solve those woes that we have. I'm not 100% sold. So in terms of that, I'm disappointed with GM Chris Greer. But for what he's done now with what we had there's no denying it. The players we lost, we were going to lose. Maybe not all of them, but I'm okay getting rid of Eli Apple, Brandon Jones again. That was going to happen. Jerome Baker, fantastic run. Melvin Ingram, Ogba at that contract price, so long, see you. But who he's backfilled with is fantastic. But regardless of how assuming we don't go out there and break the bank on some other big free agent, regardless of how we do this year, we are going to walk into 2025 with a bunch of comp picks. And that's something Miami has never, ever, ever had in my recent memory is a bunch of comp picks. And whether you use them, because Chris Greer may or may not be able to use them well in terms of actually drafting players, they become draft capital in terms of trading up and down within the draft. And that's where it can count. So all things considered, Chris Greer, I think, has done a pretty good job navigating these rough waters.
So basically,
Go ahead.
you'd give him an A if he didn't sign Jake Bailey, but he's a B+ because of Jake Bailey.
That's fair. That's very good.
I love it, man. That's awesome. Yeah. Listen, and mark my words, it's March 14, 2024. At some point, and everybody who's still with us, and you three, Steve Hallett is going to tweet because he shanked a punt in November, effing Chris Greer.
November? You don't think he's going to do it in September? Come on, Matt.
Preseason.
September, multiple times, October. But he'll shank one, and then he'll come out and kick one like 65 yards just to work his average out to 48. That's what he's going to do.
There's no guarantee he's going to be on the team come September.
We can
Just
all hope.
because they signed him to it. He's still got to make the team. They might sign an undrafted free agent punter from the University of Miami because they've got great punters. I can tell you that for sure.
They use them a lot.
Here we go.
And
For the record, there's a lot of new people watching on Twitter today. Steve Hallett, a Florida Gator, Matt Armstrong, a proud Tire here. So please go ahead. Please send your mean tweets and your hate tweets to @Steve Hallett on Twitter and Matt Armstrong 1 on X. Please go ahead. Please continue.
That's the part that I've been waiting for today, and actually I've been waiting for about a month now. I haven't been able to zing Steve in a while, so it's good to see you guys, man.
Absolutely.
So any last thoughts before we go?
No,
I think he's still cooking on the Hurricanes comment. So.
Yeah, it is. They do have good punters. I'll give them that, but they also put out good players that don't get hurt, and especially the.
Ooh.
Anyways, we'll get away from the. Who cares about the Hurricanes? Except I would take their safety this year in the draft, but we don't. If
Which
you wanna
round?
go
Which
young,
which round?
he'd be a second round pick.
Okay.
He's a very good safety, Kitchens. But
Okay.
anyways, I think it's great. Everybody's forgetting. A lot of people forgetting after June 1st, 14 million comes off if Howard hasn't signed yet. If it's signed, 18 million. I just found that out today.
Mhm.
That because they designated him as an injury cut. As soon as he signs, then the 18 kicks in, and if not, it's 14 million. And I don't know what they're going to do, but they have to. I don't know if they're extending Tyreek or what, but something else has to happen. I'm surprised Wilson's still on the team. After seeing some of these other backup quarterbacks with their contracts, I'm fine with Mike White being the backup at 4 million. Some of these guys are crazy, but other than that, it's been a crazy couple days, and we still got a long, long way to go. Because after June 1st, a lot of people get cut again. After the draft, I mean, a lot of people get cut, and no, it doesn't matter who you sign after June. It doesn't count, and it won't hurt against them comp picks, which that's another very, very good thing that Chris Greer has done.
And again, after the Michael Kusov the week after next, you're gonna see a lot of signings. The second wave of signings, a lot of people who's not finding the money that we're expecting. So you're gonna see a lot of signings. Probably the Dolphins is gonna add a defensive tackle, maybe another defensive tackle, or the offensive guard, maybe a wide receiver. But Braxton, I think we all can agree we all want Braxton Berrios back, but we need an upgrade at wide receiver number 3. Agreed?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Ezekama is going to be coming back. I really wasn't too sure. I'm not going to bank on him being reliable. I think it was a pre-existing injury. I don't know. But so he's been putting in the work. I have some draft crushes out there. I know it's an absolute luxury, and I'm being hypocritical here because we need to build offensive line like crazy. But there are a couple wide receivers out there that I would just absolutely love to have an aqua and orange. So we'll see how that works out. The safety from Miami had an absolutely miserable combine or pro day performance, which I'm satisfied with because, frankly, if he puts it out there on tape, I think Antoine Winfield Jr. had a miserable combine in pro day, and I wanted him like there was no tomorrow. So give me players like that. But we'll see how it works out. I'm not as worried about the wide receiver side of everything as I am the offensive line. And running back would always love to see a big name, but come on, it's Chris Greer. He doesn't pay for running backs, and he doesn't draft them either. So,
and you shouldn't.
Bingo.
And eventually we will talk about a lot about the draft, and Chris Greer should stay at number 21, or drop back, and maybe get a late second and then an early third. That's probably will do. That's where a safety might comes into play. So, guys, it's been a lot of fun. After that Black Monday, where everything the sky was falling, the answer to the question is no. The sky is not falling for the Dolphins. So, we're just getting started. Again, I don't have huge expectations for next season, but we're going to be competitive. If we stay healthier than last season, anything can happen. Why not, and why not us? So please, if you're there on Twitter, I see a lot of people on X on Twitter. Please go to YouTube, subscribe, give us a like, leave a comment. Well, this again, Fins TV for those who are new on Twitter and X. This is a love letter to the Dolphins. We're a couple of the Fins TV crew. You're just guy who loves the Dolphins. We're not competing with anyone. We're not going to get in the mess with anyone. We just want to to share with the community. So please like and subscribe, and don't forget, as always, when you say Miami, you talk a Super Bowl. Fins up, guys.
Fins up, guys. Take care.
You guys.